and he looked at everything. But there are a couple of differences from what we talked about as far as his estimate goes. He's talking about capping off the downstairs water fountain, but he said it was an easy fix, so it would make more sense to fix it. I've got a call into him. The other thing was the water tanks. He had said that it would take 3 or 4 smaller tanks to fill that area, and he only estimated 1. So he's going to get back to us with a revised bid, and at that point, then we need to talk about getting the big tank out of the way. My husband's a welder, and he has the equipment, and he's willing to do that work. Basically for material and maybe a little bit for his time, but it's not going to be much of a, but he can take care of, it's got to be cut down into little pieces, drained of course first, so it's got to be coordinated with Greg when we get his final estimate. And that's where we are on that. I'm waiting on him.
Just a question, because I just want to make sure we're set for next fall. That is including fixing the hydrant over the skating rink?
Yep, they have to dig it out.
Has there been any concern or thought given to moving that hydrant, if they're going to dig it up anyway, so as to the 50% halfway point on that rink, so that it takes less hose to reach the entire rink?
Some kind of idea. Notice that.
But that would be a splitter blacktop.
I don't think so.
No, I don't believe so, because you would go from, because it's broken at the standpipe.
Okay.
So I believe you could trench right up between the two and put that faucet in at a halfway point. Your friction loss is so great in that hose that you don't get any flow out of it when you've got enough hose to reach the end of the rink. And if we could cut that down, they could probably flood a lot faster. And the other thing I was going to have them check is see what gallonage that pump is that's underneath there. There might be a thing of increasing the flow on that submersible pump that's in the tank that would help in the flooding and help keep that rink in better shape. And this would be the time to look at that when he's already working on it. When he wants to pull that pump, he'll have to probably call the fire department because we'll drain it so he can get in there. So that's just some thoughts that I've got on that end of it.
Well, if we're going to do it, we should really do it right. I mean, that's
Absolutely, I agree with that.
So.
I'll check on that one. I talked to him again.
And then we'll have that bid for the next meeting. Okay. Sounds great.
Well, we should have options, different options.
Yeah, I'll have you write it down so that you can decide what you want.
One set bid, we want to see what our options are.
Are there outside drinking facilities?
Nope.
Is that something you want to consider?
There's an issue there with freeze.
This is somebody asking that.
That's what led to this problem the last time. Was somebody used the fountain. Somebody used that faucet out there for drinking water.
Yeah, and that also needs to be posted that that is not potable water.
Kids can't read that well.
No. Well, and it should also be shut off in the building, so if they do turn it on, they're drinking that water out of a cistern, basically.
Tasty.
That is a health concern then, isn't it? So maybe we
That's
should,
what
yeah, maybe we should have bottled water, like, for the tennis class.
Greg says put a lock. Those faucets have a lock option on them. And
We just got to lock the thing.
I know, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, somebody went and started filling water jugs to drink out of that for the church event. I said, you can't drink that pot. Ron says, we do it all the time when we're playing softball.
Isn't that like an OSHA thing? If we have unsafe drinking water, should we have at least a bottle of
That's
water?
not a drinking water.
Yeah, it's not meant for actually
It's
drinking.
not meant for drinking,
It's
but
Okay. And it's not a requirement to have drinking water?
not outside. It's
All right.
That's why I raised the question, is that people were drinking it, and they're asking me. I didn't even know it was there.
But the lock on it would solve the whole issue, because then the rink attendant could have a key, or supervisors could have a key so they can get at it, and otherwise you can't open it, and that would also solve the problem of it being left partially on and freezing and breaking.
The tennis classes too, when they got really warm, they wanted water, so.
So, we'll talk to Mr. Humes about that additional work. See what we can go with there.
So, do you want me to have him add in the things that we had originally talked to, and then separate out the moving of the thing and,
Outside the office.
oh, and the gallonage on the pump?
Checking out, I don't know what the gallonage is, so.
Okay,
Just see if it's improvable.
yeah.
And it might be that you'll find out that the pipe restriction is such that it wouldn't do any good to raise the size of the pump too, so. But you'll know that.
Let's move on here. Code of Ethics and Parliamentary Rules.
Mr. Chairman, friends and neighbors, I'd like to thank Celeste Kavalak, here present, John Sutcliffe, and our own Greg Koneski as citizens assisting me and providing counsel in this whole matter. I'd also like to thank the supervisors who attended the first and the second workshop. I have here this evening 9 copies of what I think you need. They're actually deficient on 2 areas. One is Mr. Chairman's own ethics document that I, like a dummy, didn't include. And I've left out my own script on the flow of debate, which I believe is an important part of what we're about. So here's 9 copies, 5 for supervisors, 3 for officers, and 1 for yourself. On page 8, you'll find that when Mr. Chairman gets in a tangle, he's at liberty to refer to Robert's rules. I have nominated this particular edition for no particular reason other than umpteen editions out there, and I happen to own this one. So it's neither good nor bad compared to anything else. So there's a little present for you. One other item, may I suggest that having heard a little of Mr. Surface's background, that you invite him to be your parliamentarian, at least in the first instance. And with that, that's basically all I have to say for this evening. I'll be delighted to amend it in any way you need in the future and keep the whole thing going. I think you'll find, given the work that you've already put into it, that once you start using it and everybody quotes the appropriate section, will cut out a lot of Mickey Mouse and streamlining this entire operation. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
as a follow-up, I think one of my suggestions was, one of my suggestions was that we try to get this information out to the community on either the website or...
Feel free to do it.
And
Your clerk has access to it.
I think it's important that the community understands that this meeting is a business meeting and it is no longer a big session, so that we follow.
If you look at the last page, you'll see the guidance for the public is included.
I was just trying to make that point that they haven't had the option of seeing this yet. So I think it's important, even by word of mouth, that this board will run according to